Okay? So then we will connect those dots, and we will have our new line. Okay, number 2 is dilating by a scale factor of 1/2. So we're going to multiply all of our coordinates by 1/2. First, we have to find those coordinates. Okay. So, where is D?
-6.
Oh, yeah.
Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -6, +2. E is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. And F is at 6, -4. So, I'm going to multiply all of those by 1/2. So basically, I'm trying to find what a half of those is. What's half of -6? -3. What's half of 2? 1. So D prime is at -3, 1. E prime, what's half of 8?
4.
What's half of 4?
2.
So E prime's at 4, 2. And then F prime is going to be what's half of 6?
3.
And what's half of -4?
-2.
So F prime's at 3, -2. And then we'll plot those points. So did we reduce or enlarge this shape?
Reduce.
We reduced it. Okay, I think I'm gonna skip number 3. I gotta check real quick, but I think the points are wrong. Now stuff. Yeah, we're gonna skip number 3. So on number 4, we've got a scale factor of 4. So first we have to find our original point, R, S, T, and U. So where's my original R?
-1.
-1, 1. So if I multiply that by 4, what's my new coordinates of R prime?
-4, 4.
-4, 4. Where does S prime, or where does S start at?
1.
At 1, 1. So where's S prime?
4,
4, 4. We're just multiplying those ones by 4. Where does T start?
Negative 1, negative. Oh, yeah, one, negative 2.
1, negative 2. So if we multiply those by 4, 1 times 4 is 4. What's negative 2 times 4? Negative 8. And then U starts off at negative 1, negative 2. So what are my coordinates of U prime?
Negative 4, negative 8.
Negative 4, negative 8.
Let's see.
So did I reduce or enlarge that rectangle? I enlarged it because my scale factor was bigger than 1. Okay, so now on these, you want to find the scale factor of the dilation. I'm just going to pick a pair of points. You can do G, H, or I. Somebody give me one of those letters.
G.
G. Okay, so G starts off at what?
1, negative 1, 1.
That's where G prime is. Where's G?
Oh, negative 5, 5. Alright.
And then where does G prime end up at?
Negative 1, 1.
Negative 1, 1. So from my original shape to my new shape, did I reduce or enlarge? Reduce. That means that my K is going to be less than 1. So it's not going to be bigger than 1. So we're probably going to have a fraction. We're definitely going to have a fraction, but sometimes you can have a fraction with an enlargement. Okay, so looking at this, I need to find what I multiplied negative 5 by to get negative 1. So I multiplied negative 5 times the scale factor, and it gave me out negative 1. So now how would I solve for K? Inverse operations, what do I need to do to both sides?
Divide the negative 5.
Divide the negative 5. So what does K equal? 1/5. Okay, we're going to do the same steps on number 6. So I'm going from HG to H prime G prime. Am I enlarging or reducing?
Enlarging.
Enlarging, which means that my scale factor should be larger than 1. So, do you want me to do G or H?
H.
H, okay? So H starts off where?
2, 3.
And then H prime, where's that? Okay? So there's my original h and then my prime h. I had to multiply 2 and 3 by something to get 6 and 9. So I normally look at the x values. You can look at the y values. So you can either do 2 times a k, gave you 6, or 3 times a k gives you 9. This is looking at the y's, this one's looking at the x's. So you might be able to look at that and say, I know what 2 times what gives me 6. You might not have to show any more work. But if you are confused about it, remember you can do inverse operations, and you can get k equals what? 3. And if you did that with the y, divide both sides by 3, what's 9 divided by 3?
3.
So either way, you'd get the same scale factor. Okay, so I'm going to give me a letter on number 7. O. I heard O first, so we'll go with O. So O starts off at 10, 5,
5.
and it ends up at
5.
So if you look at that, it's kind of in the half of it, halfway through it. So it's technically at 2.5, but since we have whole numbers for our x values, it doesn't really affect us that much. As long as you can have the x values that are whole numbers, it's fine. So I'm multiplying 10 by a scale factor to get 5. Am I reducing or enlarging here? Reducing. I'm going from the big square to the little square. So that means that my k is going to be less than 1. What do I need to do to solve for k right there in that equation? Divide by what?
10.
Divide by 10. What's 5 over 10 reduced to?
1/2.
1/2. So my scale factor for number 7 is 1/2. Okay, on number 8, I'm going to look at points A and A prime. You can look at B or C, either one's fine. I'm just going to look at A. So, with A, where do I start with A? At 0,
0, 2.
2. And A prime is where?
And 0, 4.
Yes. So, if I'm looking at this one, I need to find what multiplies to give me 0 and 4. So if I look at just the x's, I have 0 times a k equals 0. Would that be able to give me my scale factor?
No.
No. Because it really doesn't change. 0 doesn't change when you multiply by anything. So let's look at the y. So 2 times a k had to give me 4. What times 2 gives me 4? 2. So you could do the math, or you could just look at it and see that the scale factor is 2. Okay. So next page. page 24 and 25, these are part of your daily grade 6. That's going to be due Wednesday. All the pages that you have to do are up on the board. If you look to the far right of the board, over here. So you unpack page 7 and 8, 13, 14, 19, 20, 24, 25, 30, and 31. So let's look at page 24. Okay, so looking at the dilations page. So this one, you're going to have 4 different shapes, okay? So you're going to have 4 different shapes. So looking at, I don't know why the numbers are like that. I don't know why they start at 9, but they do. So on number 9, it says draw A, B, C, D with those coordinates. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw those coordinates. So at 0, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 1, and negative 1, 0.
You know there's 2 blue
Mm-hmm.
and 2 purple.
It's because they're on, I think, why they're like that. Oh, because those 2 are the same shape. So the 2 greens are the same shape, you're gonna dilate the greens, you're gonna dilate the blues, and dilate the purples. They're all 3 different shapes. That's why they're the same. Okay, so we drew number 9, so we're done with that. Then we're gonna go to yellow. See if I can find a yellow that's easy to see. So we want to multiply that by a scale factor of 4 for the yellow one. So I'm going to go down here to my coordinates. So looking at A prime, I'm going to multiply everything by 4. What's 0 times 4? 0. So A prime still at 0, 0. B prime, 0 times 4 is still 0. What's 1 times 4?
4.
Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. 1 times 4 is 4. And same for C. So there's my new coordinates. And I'm going to graph those. There's A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime.
Do we have to color it, or can we just leave it dot the color of what?
You don't have to color it in. I just color it in because I'm an additional one. Remember, if you're not doing the color stuff, remember you need to write the number of that shape inside of it, so I know which one it is. Like this one will be number 10, kind of hard to see,
What if we just write the color in there?
that's fine too. But like the ones that have the same colors, like on numbers 13 through 18, just make sure you can write the color and the number. Okay, so we did the yellow one, and now we are going to do the orange. And make sure you're following the directions that it's telling you to do. So number 11 says dilate A, B, C, D from the origin with R equals 10. So my scale factor is 10, but I'm going back to my original. Okay, I'm not going off the yellow, I'm going off of the original. If you did the yellow, you'd get 40s, and there's no 40 on there, so you couldn't graph it. So go back to the original one. So if I do that, A prime is still at 0, 0. Where's B prime?
0, 0,
0, 10. Where's C prime?
-10, +10,
-10, +10. And where's D prime?
-10, 0.
Yep. So there's those points, and then you will plot those. Okay, and then you'll do the same thing with the red. I'm going to go to the green ones. So number 13 says draw the shape at -12, -18. -12, -9. And -6, -12. 14, after you graph that 14, wants you to multiply by a scale factor of 1/3. So you're gonna multiply -12, -18, and -9 and -6. You're gonna multiply all those by 1/3. It's also the same as dividing by 3. Because whenever the numerator is 1, it's the same as just dividing by the denominator of the fraction. So what's -12 divided by 3? -4.
Oh,
And then -18 divided by 3, -6. So -12 divided by 3, or -12 times 1/3, should give me what? -4. -9 times 1/3, 3. -6 times 1/3,
-2.
and then -12 times 1/3, -4. So there are my points for my dilation. And it is going to be smaller because it is a reduction. Okay, so you will do those last few by yourself. You've got to do 12, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Make sure you graph all of those. So on the back side of that paper, you're actually going to match up with what the dilation is. So you have to actually find your dilation scale factor. So if I'm looking at that one in the top left, you can look at any of them. I'm going to look at B. B starts off at 1, 1. B prime ends up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. 1 times what gives me 5? 5. So what's my scale factor? 5. So I'm going to go find which one that matches with, and it matches with the orange. Okay. Then you could look at, let's see. What is this one? Okay. So if I look at A and A prime. A starts off at -2, 4, and A prime ends up at -1, 2. You can look at your x or your y's. I'm gonna look at y's this time. So 4 times a k had to give me 2. So I can solve for k, divide both sides by 4, and what's my scale factor there? 1/2. So
Green or red? Wait, never mind.
red. So that would match up with the red one. So that's what you're gonna do on all those on the back. So I'm gonna give y'all some time at the end of class to work on this, but we are going to move on to page 26. And we're gonna look at sequences of transformations, which is just where you do more than one transformation at a time. Okay. Go back. So on page 26. So sequence of transformations, a sequence of transformations is when 2 or more transformations are combined to form a single transformation. Okay, so on that first one, I'm going to go ahead and graph my pre-image. So I'm going to graph the triangle XYZ where it starts. So it starts at -3, 7. -2, 1. And -5, 2. Make sure you label that. Label those points. So what we're going to do is we're going to perform the first transformation, which is a reflection in the x-axis. So I'm going to do it using the coordinates. Remember, you can use patty paper for this. If you take your patty paper, draw your x and y axis, and then flip it down over the x-axis. Yeah. You can use patty paper for that, but I'm going to actually use the coordinates this time. So what I'm going to do, my x prime, y prime, and Z prime. I'm gonna find those by performing the reflection in the x-axis. And when you reflect over the x-axis, what's the rule? It's on the board. The y becomes negative. So I have x, negative y. So I'm just going to change the sign of all my y values. So x prime is at -3, -7. Y prime is at -2, -1. And z prime is at -5, -2. So right there, you could graph that if you wanted to. I'm going to. But again, you do not have to graph the middle transformation. It's really just helpful if you want to use patty paper, if you graph all of your transformations. That's my first one. Then you have to go back and do the second, which will give you your final shape. And since we are doing two transformations, I am going to have double primes, so that if you do graph the second shape, I know which one is the middle and which one's your final image. So my second transformation that I'm applying to this shape is going to be a translation along the rule x plus 9, y plus 2. So I'm going to add 9 to all my x's and add 2 to all my y's. What's 9 or -3 plus 9? What's 9 minus 3?
Oh.
6.
6. Then what's 2? -2 minus 7 or -7 plus 2. Remember, you can do it either way. It would be -5. And then I'm going to transfer that down to my bottom answer down here. And put that in my blank. Then what's -2 plus 9?
7, 1.
7. And then 2 minus 1 gives you 1. I'm going to transfer that down to my answer blank. And then -5 plus 9 is 4. -2 plus 2 is 0. So my z double prime is at 4, 0. So if I was grading this on a test, and you wanted to know what you had to show, you would have to show the original, you'd have to show your final, and you'd have to show your final coordinates. So you'd have to have those three things. You would not technically have to have the pink one. Okay, then on the next one, I'm gonna go ahead and plot those original 3 points, G, H, and I. Okay, so aces translate along the vector 7, -5. That's just a different way to write x plus 7, y minus 5. It's a different way to write that. Wait, no. You gotta change the sign. So it'll be x minus 7, x plus 5. No, Lord heaven help me. Come on. I was right the first time. Keep the signs the same. It's just Monday, so bear with me. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add 7 to all my x's and subtract 5 from all my y's. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all the x values first. So what's -1 plus 7? And what's -6 plus 7?
1.
So I did all my x values. Then I'm gonna do my y values. I'm gonna subtract 5 from all of them. What's 6 minus 5?
1.
3 minus 5.
-2.
And then 6 minus 5 will give you 1 again. So this is a good example of why you'd want to have this second shape drawn, because you are actually going to have to reflect over y equals -3. And there's no technical rule you can write for that. Okay, so I'm going to take that pink shape and I'm going to reflect it over y equals -3. So I went on my y-axis to -3 and then I went side to side. Okay, so G is 4 above, or G prime is 4 above, so my G double prime will be 4 below. H prime is 1 above, H double prime is 1 below. Then I prime is 4 above, add double prime, support below. And then there are my final coordinates, G, H, and I. Okay, I'm gonna go to page 27 now. And I'm gonna do number 5. So number 5, I'm gonna go ahead and plot that triangle at 0, 3, 3, 4, and 1, 2.
Did we just go to number 5?
Yes.
Like, we didn't do 3 or 2,
No.
3 or 4, okay. Cause like, I was looking, I was like, I know he's not.
And for my first transformation, I'm gonna rotate it 180 about the origin. So that means that my X, Y is going to, what's my rule for 180? What do I do with my X and my Y? I change their sign. So all my signs are changing on my coordinates. So L prime is at 0, -3. M prime is at -3, -4. And N prime is at -1, -2. Again, you can plot those points if you want to. I'm not going to this time. And then to get to my final transformation, I'm going to dilate with a scale factor of 2. So what am I going to do with all my coordinates? I'm going to multiply them by what? 2. So 0 times 2 is 0. What's -3 times 2?
Negative.
What's -3 times 2? -6. What's -4 times 2?
Negative 8.
And then -1 times 2?
Negative 2.
-2 times 2?
Negative 4.
And there's my final shape.
Oh, I did it on the other one.
So if you did graph your middle shape, that's where it would have been. But yeah, that's the basics of it. You're just applying transformations over and over again. We've already done something like that with just single translation on that first worksheet on page 7 and 8. So if I look at page 27, page 28 and 29 are just extra practice. On that page 5 and 6, you can't do those because they're centered around different points other than the origin, and we did not do those. Alright, looking at page 30. So page 30 wants you to draw that quadrilateral at 9:12. Twelve, 14. Okay. So that's my first shape. Then number 2 in purple wants you to reflect over y equals 7. So I'm going to go to y equals 7. And I'm going to reflect over that line. So A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below would be A prime for purple. B is 3 above, D prime will be 3 below. C is 2 above, D prime is 2 below. And B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to go 7 below. Okay, if you do this and it doesn't look the same as the one above it, go back and check it. Make sure you did it right. Okay, so I'm going to find those coordinates and write them down over here in the little blank area. A prime is at 9.2. B prime is at 12.0. C prime is at 13.5. And D prime is at 11.4. And if you look at number 3, it says rotate number 2 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. So I'm going to take the one I just did, I'm going to take the purple one, and I'm going to change it. So I need to go 90 degrees clockwise. So I know with a 90-degree turn, I switch my X and my Y, and since it's clockwise, it goes to the right, so my X sign changes. So Y negative X. That's on the board too, if you forgot it. So I'm going to switch them and change the signs of the X. Switch them, change the sign of the 9. So A prime is at 2, negative 9. B prime is at 0, negative 12. C prime is at 5, negative 13. And D prime is at 4, negative 11. And then you graph that, and you keep going off of the last one you did. So like number 4, the orange one, you're going to go off the blue coordinate. Number 5, you'll go off the orange coordinates. Number 6, you'll go off the green, and number 7, you'll go off of the red one. And then on the back of that, you are actually going to have to find the different transformations and match them to a graph. And we're going to look at some of those.